All right, I'm happy to bring on San Francisco head coach Chris Gerlufsen. USF is 14-4 right now, have won 6 in a row, and have started WCC playoff 3-0. But before we get into all of that, I got to ask you about your Eagles tonight against the Bucks and how you feeling about that.
Man, you're gonna hit me with that to start the interview. Man, I'm confident, but the way we've been playing the last few weeks, I don't know. We're a little banged up, but it's playoff time. Anything can happen. So definitely looking forward to trying to tap into the game tonight.
Yeah, should be a good one tonight. So with your team, there have been so many developments, I think, over the last few months since the last time we spoke on air. And one of the things that has jumped out to me over the last month or so has been the play of Malik Thomas and just his development and how he's become more of a reliable source on the offensive end and even on the defensive end. Just kind of talk about his development and what you've seen from him as the season has gone along.
Yeah, I'm really proud of Malik. I said this in an interview after the game the other night. I'm not sure if he's ever had a bad day in his life. You know, he's just a guy when he walks into the facility every day, exudes just a positive vibe. And that has a way of rubbing off on everyone in our program, coaches included. And probably the best thing I've done is kind of gotten out of his way. You know, he has a little bit of Khalil Shabazz in him in terms of there may be a head scratching play or two that happens, but need to learn to overlook some of those things because I think his body of work has a way of kind of eliminating those plays. And he's really affected the game on both sides of the ball for us in a positive way. So I'm really proud of his progress. A guy who did not, have much success at his previous stop. And I think he's used that all as motivation. So he's a really key piece for us going forward. And I look forward to his continued development.
Yeah, I mean, I think must have been at some, I forget exactly which game it was when he finally had his first 20-point game, and he just immediately jumps off the screen when you see him play, and just the way he's able to attack the basket, and just how has that changed the way you were able to kind of run the offense because of what he was able to bring?
Yeah, just another guy who on any given night can be our leading scorer, and I think that's should be a separator for our team. I think we have really good depth. We talk about a lot as a team that we have to be okay with, one night it being Jonathan Mobo, one night it being Malik Thomas, one night it being Marcus Williams. And you could go on and on down the list. Dueto Newberry's had a really good run here. So that's why I like our team. I think we have a lot of different weapons, Malik being one of them, and has really contributed to, the run that we've been on here late.
And you talked about your depth, and I would agree. I think that your team probably may be the deepest in the WCC, or at least as far as usage goes. You go deeper into your bench than maybe anyone else in the conference. And one of the guys, not off the bench, but in your lineup now, Dueto Newberry has just been playing so well as of late, and just you started to see nuggets of this last year, and we're starting to really kind of see his almost full development. Just kind of talk about what he's meant and just how he's grown throughout this year, because we started to see it last year, and now we're starting to really see his potential.
Yeah, Dueto is so young, when it comes to being a basketball player. He's a junior eligibility wise, but he started playing basketball late, hasn't really had a lot of in-game experience. We burned a red shirt on him halfway through the season last year. And so he's just kind of figuring it out as he goes along. And the more game minutes he plays, the better he gets. And he's a guy who, again, I think he plays both sides of the ball really good defensively, helps cover up a lot of stuff for us, is now starting to shoot the ball at an extremely high clip, which I think is been the next kind of maturation of his game. And just a guy who brings a level of toughness to our team, and versatile. That's why, we have a lot of interchangeable parts, him being one of them.
Yeah, that's the thing. That really does seem like that just up and down this lineup, you have so many different options to go to, and really And because after I would say like Ryan Beasley and Marcus Williams, who are maybe a little on the smaller side, you have a bunch of guys who are like 6'7", 6'8", and they just you really are able to seem to like mix and match really kind of like as needed. And that's obviously been a big key to how well you guys have been able to play defense. And on that front, it's like obviously the guy like who's been in the middle of all of this and who's been incredible all year long has been Jonathan Mobo. And he leads, I think it's right now, he leads the conference in scoring, leads the conference in rebounding, he leads the conference in shooting percentage. Like he's kind of been Mr. Do It All, because I feel like he's kind of fully exceeded the expectations of what you probably had going into the year. What's your kind of been, just how important has, obviously he's been important, but just kind of speak to like everything that he's meant this year for the team.
Yeah, I mean, he's exceeded my expectations, and I've had really high, me and my staff had extremely high expectations for him coming in. Probably the thing that is impressed me the most about him and kind of gets overlooked is his ability to facilitate, and we can run offense through him and allow him to be the decision maker for us, which is really unique, and I think it mirrors some of the things you're seeing at the next level. It's a lot of 5 out. It's a lot of positionless basketball. He just happens to be a so-called 5-man that we can initiate offense through, and he can rebound and bring it on the break. And sometimes that's the best way into offense is when you have a guy who can really rebound and bring it. But can't say enough about him. Number one, he is as high of a character kid as I've been around in my career. Has meshed really well in with the group, as has Malik and the rest of our transfers. And I think that's a huge reason why we are where we are.
And one of the other additions that actually was a midseason addition was to the coaching staff, Frankie Ferrari making his return to the Hilltop. And obviously, like, he's been around the program, like in and out since he was here first time and second time. But kind of talk about like how that kind of occurred, and then also just like what he's been able to, how he's really helped out since he arrived officially.
Yeah. So after I got the job, I tried to get Frankie back in the mix here, and he wasn't quite ready to hang him up yet. And so I'd always, we stayed in touch and we exchanged texts, and he was always here during the summertime. And I actually got a phone call from him the night before our scrimmage down at USC back in the fall, and he expressed some interest, and we just happened to have a spot available with Vinny McGee leaving to join the Lakers staff. And I just thought it was too good to be true. To get a guy who gave so much to the Hilltop, was one of the better point guards to come out of the conference in a long time. So to have his kind of knowledge, his winning ways, he's extremely competitive, and he's won here, and he knows what it takes to be a successful point guard. So to be able to have him in practice every day with Ryan Beasley and Marcus Williams and Mike Sharabjams, it's invaluable, and so happy and lucky to have him back here on the Hilltop.
Yeah, it was fun to watch him play, and it's great to actually see him back up there. And I think that's one of the things that's like in college programs across the board. It's like when you see some of the old players come back and be part of it, it really kind of like validates what the program is doing. At least like that's the way I look at it.
No, absolutely.
So looking ahead, again, right before we hopped on, we talked about like the last 6 have won 6 in a row. It's been a little bit of like not the best of opponents and whatnot. Now you come into a week where you have LMU and Saint Mary's coming in. You've defended the home court well, 9-0 to this point. And these 2 games seem like that they're going to be much closer than a lot of the games you've obviously had recently. For these 2 games, and maybe you haven't looked too far into Saint Mary's because you have LMU next, but looking at this week, what's kind of like the initial message to the guys as far as like the focus that needs to happen, because these are 2 teams that are obviously very capable. St. Mary's obviously winning the league, but LMU is capable of beating anybody on any night.
Yeah. The message for our team isn't going to change. I think it's it's been a good thing for us, a good recipe for us to this point, is just trying to stay extremely, extremely short-sighted, and not worrying about something that's going to happen on down the line. Just staying focused on what's next. And what's next for us is, number one, we need to get better on some fronts, for us individually, for us personally as a team. And then we'll get into our prep for LMU, and get ready for that game on Thursday night. Have all the respect in the world for Stan Johnson, what he's done down there. Extremely well coached team. They're big. They play hard. And so we know we're going to have our hands full on Thursday night, and we want to get through Thursday, and we'll turn the page and focus in on what comes next after that.
And just, thinking about the big picture, and I don't know how much you worry about the big picture. Obviously, the guys are focused on the next game and really focused on that. But the fact that you have set yourself up really well, it seems, that to potentially have be at least in the conversation for an at-large. And I know it's net 42 as of this morning. KenPom is 52, so it's a little bit on the outside, kind of looking in. But with some of these wins, it's you put yourself right back into that spot, right back in that conversation, especially if it's a win against a Saint Mary's, which is going to count. Well, I think right now they're a Q2 or whatnot, but just thinking that through, it's how much do you start thinking about that big picture, or again, how much do you allow yourself to do that, or the coaching staff allow themselves to do that?
Yeah, we look at all that stuff on a daily basis, and I know we can only control what we can control, and so we do have some opportunities on our schedule that will hopefully elevate us if we handle things on our end. But we need to continue to just keep winning games, and let the dust settle at the end of the day. I feel like we're flying under the radar a little bit, which is great. I prefer to just stay there and allow our guys to focus on just getting ready to win basketball games. And we like where we're at. We're not satisfied with where we're at.
All right, Coach, thanks for hopping on for a little bit, chatting some USF hoops. LMU and Saint Mary's this week. Good luck in the two games, and we'll definitely catch up later.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Zach.